Hi, I'm Jess.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
And this is ReDIScover, a conversation where we travel through everything that makes up the essence of who we are and how to live authentically and imaginatively.
Here, we invite you to join us as we explore and discuss a little bit of, well, everything.
From Disney to cultivating your most authentic life to deepening your relationships and talking about the real stuff.
We hope you'll find this a space that speaks to you, encourages you, and brings a little bit of magic into your day.
Hi, I'm Jess.
Hi, I'm Kristen, and welcome to the very first episode of ReDIScover.
We're very excited to begin this podcast. Today on our first episode, we thought we would start by talking about our whole origin story of growing up with Disney and why it's been such an important part of our lives since the beginning.
Yeah, we kind of just wanted to take those of you who have known us since the earlier days, just kind of through the evolution of everything, and for those of you who are new, just give you some background on how we were kind of brought up with Disney, how Disney really influenced our lives as adults and our friendship, and how we've found a lot of really positive and applicable takeaways from being kind of a part of Disney culture.
So when we were both really young, we were both raised on the Disney films and the parks. I know for me personally, my mom always had me dressed in cute little Disney outfits. I had a Ariel 5th birthday party and all of those things. And I'm sure you guys can relate to having a favorite Disney movie that you probably put on repeat over and over again. Mm-hmm. I think during my childhood, mine was Lady and the Tramp. Did you have one like that?
Yeah, I had an Ariel birthday too, actually. I think mine was my third birthday. I think Little Mermaid and actually Mary Poppins were my two favorites as a kid. But yeah, the same thing, like definitely all the Disney Halloween costumes and Disney themed birthday cakes and birthday parties. Growing up, we would have family movie night every Saturday night, and it would always inevitably be a different Disney movie. Like, I don't think we watched anything else for, like, the first 8 years of my life. When you're a kid and that's your whole world, you don't really think anything of it. But then looking back, that totally had an impact on the people that we are, for sure.
Yeah, and I think as a kid, too, like, you just love those characters, and you just feel the wholesomeness within the movies and the content that Disney presents. So I think they do a really good job of reaching every age level, like they intend to. So as a former child,
and as a child still, as someone who refuses to grow up, I think both of us have sort of a refusal to grow up. But we kind of talked about how, you know, Disney raised us in this idea that you can be childlike without being childish. And I think growing up with those films and those ideals and relating to these characters that always have that sense of imagination and adventure, you don't really lose that as you get older. It just looks different.
Truly, it's a beautiful upbringing. I'm very grateful that that's how I was raised.
Yes.
So thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
For sure.
That sort of stuff stays with you. I went to the parks pretty much once a year because my grandpa lived in Florida, and it turned into our family vacation because we all just loved it so much, and we never ran out of things to do. So then by the time I got in high school, I just had this base love of Disney, and it had built all these years. And I think that's really how we became such good friends, was because we were like, wait, you like Disney? I like Disney? And then our whole friendship just kind of stemmed from there.
Yeah. I think I started going to the parks when I was like 5. My dad was in the military and he was stationed in Florida, so that was the first time I got to go. And then from there, he was kind of stationed between Florida and California several different times throughout my childhood, so we would go to Disneyland or Disney World depending where he was. I think it was like this bubbling under the surface like love of Disney, but I didn't really have any close friends that also like shared that level of a love for it. So I think when we met in high school, it was sort of like, wait, you know all of these things that I know about Disney, and like just I'm sure you guys can relate to like finding someone who finally gets you and doesn't think it's weird or you're too old for it. And you're just like, you just latch onto that person and you're like, let's just do life together.
Yeah, I know. I think for the longest time, I thought my family, they were the only people I knew that really liked it. Yeah. So it was cool to have someone my age. It was like having another sister, basically. So It was fun. So yeah, and then probably in the 2009, 2010 arena, we found the DisBoards. I'm sure many of you have come across that beautiful forum online. Basically, it's a discussion board for all things Disney. So we found it because we're both from Buffalo, New York, and that's where we went to high school, and that's where we were living. And when we're in Buffalo, you know, the winters get really cold. You start to miss the sunshine in Florida, and finding the DisBoards was basically our beautiful escape to think about all things Disney and see what was going on in the parks at the time. 10 years ago, social media wasn't really big yet, so the forums were really the place to go to connect with all these like-minded people, and it really opened up a whole new world of meeting other people who loved Disney.
A whole new world.
I cannot believe, like, I made some really solid friendships from that website, which is so funny. Like, we became closer because of that website, and I now have either real-life friends or internet friends who I've stayed in contact with for 10 years because of it. And a lot of our Instagram community too, which is really cool.
Which basically just at the beginning especially stemmed from that community on DisBoards, because like you said, at the time there was really no big social media, and that was kind of just getting started. I think Twitter existed, but Instagram didn't even exist yet.
Not at the beginning, no.
And you know, no one really knew what it was yet. Well, I didn't even have Facebook.
No.
You did, but it was more just like for
high school friends. Yeah.
So this was really our place to find and connect with people from like all over the country and all over the world that loved Disney. And subsequently, we made friends with these people either online or when we would go on trips. You know, if they were cast members or our trips lined up, we would make plans to meet up with these people. And I mean, I have some lifelong friends. I mean, my college program roommate, I met on DisBoards. Like, cool. She would read our trip reports, and it was Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie. But she would read our trip reports and, like, be like, oh, my gosh, you guys seem like so much fun, blah, blah, blah. And then she ended up driving from Ohio to Buffalo to visit. And, of course, my family was like, so, like, this is a stranger you met on the internet? And for those of you who are part of the Disney community, it never felt like strangers. Like, you always felt like you were friends with these people, and almost like even closer than some of your real life friends, because these people understood you like on such a different level.
The community we built just by reading other people's trip reports, that's where like friendships came from. Like in my college dorm, I found my friend Leah's trip report, and I was like, oh my god, I love this girl. She's so funny. Hey Leah, if you're listening to this, I feel like reading her reports fueled my love for Disney again. So I think we were all fueling each other to just, like, let our passions run wild. And, again, meeting up in the parks, I think I might have scared her because I was like, hey, let's be friends. And she was like, I've literally never met up with anyone from the internet before. Yeah. But, like, her mom and her, and then my mom and me all got together and watched Illuminations. And, like, that's so cool, you know?
Moment of silence for Illumination.
Exactly. The trip reports were beautiful, and like the fact that we're still talking about them 10 years later and we still have friends 10 years later from it is really cool.
And not just, I mean, these aren't people who live in our neck of the woods either. Like, there are friends from Europe. There are friends from, you know who you are. There are friends from all across the country. I mean, we have friends who are like Disneyland locals in California and just all over the place. And
people I ended up working with in the future.
Yeah, it's cool to know that no matter where you go, there's probably someone there or nearby that you know from the Disney community. So it really is like this family that kind of follows you wherever you go. I don't know of anything that's comparable to that, really.
Yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful.
It is. I think that was probably what inspired the first trip we went on.
Yeah. I mean, we would read these forums for hours and hours. I remember specifically the Disney food pictures thread.
Yes.
That honestly set me up for such success in my life and my future career too.
Yes.
I ended up needing to know so much information about Disney food, and DisBoards really drilled that into my brain from a young age.
And
so
I didn't need to know it, but I just really needed to eat it. So. Like hours.
I
would like get home from school and hurry up and finish my homework so I could just go on DisBoards.
I know.
But I think that was what inspired the first trip that we planned.
Yes.
That we went on in January of 2011.
Yes, for my high school graduation. It was you, me, my mom, and our friend Vicky from high school.
It's just crazy. I mean, that was 9 years ago. And now, like, Vicky's married and has a child.
Oh my God.
And everything is different, but, like, for us, everything doesn't feel that different.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it largely feels the same.
That trip was so fun because that was still in the phase where, like, nobody was really posting much online. Mm-hmm. And I think my whole life I was really into, like, scrapbooking. My mom always took videos and pictures of us, and we'd always look back at, like, family albums and stuff. So for our trip, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to Disney with my friends. Let's make something. Yeah. So we made a video, which, looking back on it, it feels like we were making a vlog before vlogging was even a thing.
It is 100% a vlog.
Yeah.
But vlogging wasn't real yet.
We were like, let's make a trip video. This will be fun.
Yeah.
So, and it was really more so we could remember the trip and look back on it when we were older. Like, we didn't really do it for any other reason than just documenting the memories. It was like an online diary or an online scrapbook, being able to talk about the trip, post the pictures, and then it was cool because everyone on DisBoards ended up becoming like a little bit of a family, and it was like showing your family about your adventures. That was such a beautiful time of life.
Yeah, it really was. It was so simple. And then just to share with those people who we thought like might also get some joy from it. Like, we loved reading other people's trip reports when we couldn't be at Disney, so we thought like maybe these people will enjoy this too. But I remember us being like, oh, we'll print it out and put it in a binder and it'll be like a scrapbook we can save. Like, we had no idea that we were doing anything bigger than that.
Yeah. I guess
moving right along.
Yeah, so through that, do we talk about Frump here? Little bit?
Yeah.
I
think that feels relevant.
Along with the trip reports, we also I don't even know where to start.
I never know where to start with this story.
So with the trip reports, we kind of evolved the concept of frump, which some of you may have heard of. Some of you are like, what is a frump? I still don't understand all these years later. In high school, I guess, so we went to an all-girls school. It was really small. You know, when you're at school with all girls, you're just kind of like, whatever, I'm just gonna do whatever I want. I have no one to impress. I'm gonna wear my hair in a bun on the top of my head and call it a frump do.
Yep.
So that's really the root of how it all started. But then as we went into the parks and we dove into this passion, we let frump become an adjective, a verb, like everything.
It was this all-encompassing mantra, basically.
Yeah, like just about being authentically ourselves. I think for young people, that's really important to embrace that, because in school or society or anything, you're held up to all these standards of you need to just fit in this box, and frump took down those walls for us.
Yeah. And I think that was even before society was really moving that way. But I was thinking, like, I go to an all-girls school. I am going to sleep as late as I can in the morning. And I just would throw my hair up in this bun, and people would be like, you look so frumpy. And I was like, you know what? And I think it was you that was like, just spin it. Like, just don't let it get to you, you know?
Own it.
Just own it. Like, let it be what it is. So it really just became this almost defiance of society telling you, like, this is what you have to do to be considered pretty. This is what you have to do to be considered normal. This is what you have to do to be considered accepted. And we were just like, no. Like, we're just going to be who we are, because that is how we live our fullest lives. That's how we are the most happy. And that is how we've found all of these people that have become these really authentic, true friends to us. It just, it literally just became this mantra. And when we would go to Disney and make these videos and like be there, we we were just our own blooper reel at all times. And it was just born from having fun. Like, we knew we were having fun, and that's all that mattered.
Yeah, frump almost gave ourselves permission to just be crazy and young and free and just happy instead of feeling confined in any way. And you know what? We were the Disney girls on, like, at school or online or whatever, and like that was okay, and that was great. Like, that was just part of who we were, and there was nothing to really feel embarrassed about anymore, because we were just happy, and that was enough. Yeah, so we incorporated frump into our reports, and again, ahead of like social media trends. We almost made it a whole brand. We did make it a whole brand.
We did make it a whole brand.
We didn't even know, but
we just didn't do t-shirts. That's the only thing we haven't done.
I mean, there's still time, so let us know if you want a t-shirt.
Send us a DM if you'd like frump t-shirts.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. So then that ended up being in a lot of our I mean, that wasn't our trip report title, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Wasn't it like Frumpin' Around the World with the Bathrobe Princesses was our very first trip report title. And that's when we introduced it. That was cool. And then it continued on. We ended up, moving on to the next chapter of life was actually our passion grew so big for Disney was we ended up relocating to Disney at different times for our own journeys. But the college program was my next step that I took in 2013. You guys might remember that report. I ended up writing a trip report about my entire college program, which was...
I don't know how you did
I don't either. It was incredible. I think I was just so, tuned in with, how much I was just loving my life, which is, such a pure and beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That I was just going, and that was from January till August. I think I wrote a entry about almost every day, even if it was short, and it was mostly just about going to the parks. And if you guys have done the college program, you know that Energizer Bunny energy have. And you can work all day and you can go to the parks, or you can go to the parks all morning and you can work all night. I don't know how we did that.
Yeah. Mine was January 2015. And this is something Jess and I had talked about for years, all throughout high school. We knew that this was part of the plan, and our families knew at some point they're gonna take a semester off or something and go do this. So it ended up being that neither of us actually returned to the lives we had before.
Definitely life-changing
because you went to work at Disneyland too. And you did a college program there as well.
Yep. I just loved Florida so much that I wanted the experience on the other coast too.
Yeah.
Because, you went to Disneyland when you were younger, but I did once, but I didn't remember. So I went back when I was 20, post-college program, and I was like, I need to be a part of this too.
Yeah.
Even if that was only a 4 to 6 month stint, but it was life-changing too. It was so fun.
When you have such a passion for a company and what they stand for and what they do, you kind of have to be a part of it. There was no version of our lives playing out that didn't include that as part of the plan.
No, I think I was more focused on figuring out when I would do my college program than what college I wanted to go to.
So
which, looking back on that, I'm like, interesting priorities, Jess. But also,
but I was the same
But
way.
also, at the same time, for some people, going to a 4-year university and being in a sorority and doing all of those typical college things is their college experience, and ours ended up being more of a Disney working experience, which a lot of people who are in Orlando or Anaheim can relate to that. For us, it was just Disney culture incorporated into normal life.
It really is. When you for those of you who are locals, you understand. And I think for both of us, finishing our college educations while working
always
for
a priority.
Disney. Neither of us were ever we're just gonna drop out of college. We both knew whatever detours we take, we're still gonna get the degree. So.
Yes, that was always the advice from every leader I ever had. That was never a question. I was always definitely gonna finish college.
Same here.
Even if I think I took a little bit longer, but it didn't, you know what, it was the perfect path. Yeah. And I just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So
I knew that I wanted to do the college program, and I kind of knew when the time was right. And I had had a couple of years of my degree under my belt, but an opportunity comes along and it's a once in a lifetime thing, and it's a time sensitive thing, and so you just got to go with it. And I regret nothing. It was totally worth it. And then getting to finish college while working for Disney, it does give you a sense of structure, and it was just really good at teaching me how to balance those two very different things. Something that's so mentally stimulating, and then something that is, much more physical and exhausting in that way. Yeah. But just learning to balance the two, and then having the blessing of being able to take your homework to,
the resorts
or go sit on the hub grass at the Magic Kingdom and study for your finals. Feels like a dream to look back on it now, but I feel that makes so much sense for us. Of course we did that.
I always would take moments because, you know, life would get really busy, but I would just take moments and be like, okay, if I told myself this 10 years ago, or my younger self, like, she would freak out.
She wouldn't believe it.
She would be so happy. And I just felt like I could tune into the vision that I had when I was younger and be like, I'm living this right now. And that is so cool. It's like the biggest gift ever. And I feel so thankful and fortunate that it did end up panning out.
Yeah, I don't think either of us ever lost that sense of awe. And I think if we did get busy and kind of get caught up in our routines, like, there's always someone or something that'll pull you back to it. And we never lost the gratitude in everything. It was never lost on us that, like, we could hear the fireworks from where we lived and
or see them out our window.
See them out the window.
I think that was a phase that I had too.
Yeah, I did from my kitchen window.
Yeah,
like,
or
so
just
cool.
seeing the train go by when you're driving home, or the monorail. Yeah. I don't know.
You have a lot of these moments that, like, they're like, what is my life?
Yeah.
I remember I would be working really, really early in the morning, right around, like, fall and winter. And that first morning that they test out the dream lights, like in October, before they come on for the season to begin. For those of you that don't know, those are the Christmas lights on Cinderella's castle. And I was driving to work one morning, and I, like, come over that hill by Contemporary, and I, like, saw more light coming from Magic Kingdom than usual. And then I get to the top, and it's like 4:30 a.m. It is early. I am tired. But those lights were on, and I just had this moment like, whoa.
This is real.
I'm just driving to a castle to go to my job. And yeah, you have those moments that are like, okay, wow, my life is so blessed and so cool, and as many twists and turns as we both had. And, like, it's not perfect. Every day isn't perfect.
No,
it's still reality.
Definitely not. Yeah, that's the one thing. That was a big wake-up call, I think, when we did move there, was because every time we were on vacation, we're like, oh, it's Disney. We're going to be happy all the time. But then when it becomes your real life, you still have your mental health days. You still have breakups. You still have all the tough stuff going on.
Yeah.
But, you know, to have that going on, but to be in a place that makes you so happy and fills your heart up so much, it kind of helps balance it out. So, you know, Disney does not fix everything. It's really wonderful to have it there.
Yeah. And even just to speak to the idea of, like, working for Disney too, on your bad days when your personal life isn't going so well. And I mean, working for Disney takes a lot of energy because there's nowhere you will go that has a higher standard for quality of service and the friendliness and accessibility that the guests experience when they speak to you. It takes a lot of extra energy on those harder days to put on that persona of, like, I'm so happy. But when you do, and the guests are so happy, and then you have those positive interactions, it sort of makes you forget for a time, like, about what you're going through, and you really do get zoned in on what you're doing. There's, like, rare occasions where something really bad is going on and it just doesn't, and you just need to sleep.
And you know what? When you get home, you can honor those emotions and cry in your bed or on your couch. But, you know, during the day, at least having that fulfillment, even if you have one little magical moment or an interaction with a kid who just lights up your heart, it's a beautiful thing that can make you feel better. So the Disney College Program era and the Disney Living era, it's a beautiful part of life.
Yeah.
And a lot of that happened for us during college. And to honor our old trip reports and Disney life from high school, last summer we ended up making a modern day video in the parks, which was really fun. It was like a frump reunion after many years of not creating anything. That was a full circle moment, I feel like, for us. And it got us to reconnect with you guys, which was really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool to do that right before life just changed for so many people. I mean,
yes.
And for us too, we filmed that last summer, and the following month I moved back up to New York, and then, you know, a few months goes by and the world shuts down, and we had this thing that we had created that the world hadn't seen yet, and we were just like, now is the perfect time to give this to people because it's light and it's funny and it's nostalgic for so many of you guys. We just thought this is bringing us joy right now when so much around us is uncertain, and we just were like, this is the time to do this. But then it kind of got us thinking about, okay, now we've got some time. How can we take these dreams and ideas we had from a decade ago and turn them into something that applies now. So that's how we ended up here.
Yeah, we have our podcast going now. We have that YouTube video from before if you want to check it out. It's called Frumpiness Begins. It's on my YouTube channel, Jessica Faith. The podcast, I think, is going to be a whole cool new chapter for us, just because the trip reports were the beginning and then the college program was next, and then we both were on our own journeys for a while. You guys may remember that. We kind of just, took our own directions. We were young too, and
how old were you when you moved there?
I was 19.
I was too.
Yeah, we were young.
Yeah.
And I think working there and growing through college after being so high intensity in high school, we both were like, all right, we both want to develop our own lives now. Definitely painful and like a roller coaster, but so essential for growth.
Yeah.
And I think we'll talk about that more during like a friendship episode.
Yeah.
And really
get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, like honoring the space in your friendship and allowing individuals room to grow. That's really what brought us back together. So we'll talk about that in our whole reunion story later, which is really fun.
Yes.
But so we are reunited now. We're going on over a year of being back and creating stuff, which is huge. We've been brainstorming creative projects since we were 15, 16 years old, and now
since 2010
we're 27 and 25.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're still like, all right, let's do it. So this podcast just feels right.
No matter what we've done, whether it be just as fans prior to being cast members, writing trip reports and making movies and
they were
making movies. They were feature films.
Honestly, they were long.
They were. But to like actually working for the company and really diving into that whole other side of being a Disney fan, and then to kind of reconnecting and making the new project, and then this, like the common thread through all of it has been this sincere love for Disney as a brand, and also for creating something that I think really just like helps other people to feel at home too. Yeah. This is sort of like a welcome home thing, is for us as much as for anyone.
Yeah.
Just to give someone something, like people, some light and some laughter, and something to take their mind off of whatever else is going on, or something to get them excited about a trip that they have planned, or something to inspire them. I mean, so many people would be like, I'm going to go with my friends now because it looks like so much fun. Like, if that inspires you to travel and to, spend time, the best way to build your friendships and your relationships is to spend time with those people and get outside of your comfort zones and really learn to lean on each other. So if that is what we've been able to do for the last 10 years, then we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, and also major shout out to anybody who's ever messaged either of us saying that they did the college program because we talked about it. That's not only going to Disney, that's like making a huge life change and like taking the reins and doing something really cool. Yeah. And no matter what happened during your journey, you grew so much from that. Really
it's life changing.
Yeah. It can be a pivoting point for a lot of people, which is awesome.
Yeah. And I think what we've learned is, like, no matter what spaces we walk into as adults, whether they be new relationships or professionally or whatever, there's so much to be taken from both what we've learned as fans of Disney and what we've learned as being part of the Walt Disney Company. Like, those takeaways are applicable everywhere. Whether you're talking about, service or friendliness and empathy, to that same childlike spirit of adventure and never being too cool or too old for something whimsical and something happy. This world is an uncertain place, but we've never lost our optimism, and it's because we have that so deeply rooted in both of us that, like, you can actually do the things that you set your mind to, and if you have a dream, it can become a reality. And those were things we were told as kids and taught by Disney, and then we had those same ideas reinforced throughout adulthood. When we worked for the company and watched our dreams come true, we were like, oh, we can do this.
We can do this, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's the ultimate takeaway that will continue to see us through whatever challenges come, and hopefully whatever challenges you face, putting one foot in front of the other, or doing the next right thing, and just believing that if you keep working and if you are passionate enough and you let that passion, like you said, like run wild and lead you, you can do anything.
Absolutely. It's beautiful. If you resonate with this at all, just know that we are with you. Thank you so much. It's our first episode and it's really exciting. So
from this, like, we want this to really be a two-way street. We want this to be a conversation. So reach out to us on social media. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and let us know, like, what your experience with Disney has been. Did you work for the company? Do you want to? You know, were you raised on Disney? Did you find it as an adult? Do you have a bunch of friends who love Disney, or do you not? In which case, we are now your friends.
Absolutely.
We're connected forever, and you can't really do anything about it. So,
yes, and then and then going forward too, we are intending to make episodes every Tuesday for our new podcast.
Yes.
And if you guys have topics you want us to talk about, let's do it. Send us a message on Instagram, or if we do a question box on Instagram, or, you know, wherever you can reach us, let us know. And we'll take it into consideration. See if we can dive into topics, because like you said, two-way street. We want to be connected to you.
Basically, we're all just holed up together in our imaginary Disney community quarantine.
Yes.
There's school bread and Dole Whips everywhere in an ideal world. But let us know what you want to hear.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, and we can't wait to talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of ReDIScover.
Please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening. Your reviews are what keep us going, and we'd love to hear from you.
Join us every Tuesday for a new conversation, and let us know what you think we should talk about next.
Follow us on Instagram at positively.kristen and at jessicafaye508. And check out Jess's blog at theroadjesstraveled with 1l.com.
Until next time,
stay frumpy!